A good Erev Shabbos, Parshas Hera, Tafshin Pei Aleph. If I told you that the Panovich at Rosh Hashiva, the former Panovich at Rosh Hashiva, Rabbi Shach, complimented the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Rebbe, would you believe it? I know as a teenager, as a young adult, as a midlife adult, would never believe it. So the story I'm going to tell you was publicized just this week in an Eretz Yisrael website, and it gave the documents to prove it. But before I tell you the story, just a brief introduction. The Panovich Rosh Hashiva opposed the Rebbe and Lubavitch in many ways, and it was a very difficult situation in the sense that it led to much unhappiness, much stress, and many other such things. And that is something that I'm not going to talk about. It's not in my purview. And as a chassid of the Rebbe and Lubavitch, it's only natural to honor, respect your Rebbe, your father, in the sense that when someone disrespects him and embarrasses him and humiliates him and does so publicly, you stand up for him. But what I want to say is something that Reb Chaim Shalom Deitch told me this week. I called him. He was a student in Panovich from 1959 through the mid-60s, I believe. And he told me, and he was very close to Rabbi Shach. He learned by him. And he said to me that he feels that his antagonism to the Rebbe and Lubavitch later on in the 70s and 80s, the 90s, was not the age-old disagreement between Hasidim and Misnagdim. It was associated with his closeness to Rabbi Aaron Kotler, which I already wrote about this in my book Lakewood and Lubavitch at great length with documentation. And for various reasons, which we're not going to go into right now, I just urge you to read what I wrote there. Rabbi Aaron opposed the Frierdiker Rebbe, in particular his call for li'alta l'tshuva, li'alta l'geula, immediate tshuva will bring immediate redemption, and Rabbi Aaron was concerned that that idea will lead to heresy, God forbid, because what if Mashiach doesn't come? There were other reasons that Rabbi Aaron, other reasons that he had issues with the previous Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, which we're not going to go into at this moment. Rabbi Shach was hired as a Rosh Hashiva, a teacher, a Melamed, a Magid Shir by Rabbi Aaron while his yeshiva was in Kletsk yet, in Europe, in Kletsk. And Rabbi Deitch told me that he knows from various things that he heard or discussed with Rabbi Shach while he was in Panovich that Rabbi Shach had a great respect for Rabbi Aaron, and he was still from those who didn't feel any changes to anything of traditional European Jewry should happen, even though we're in Eretz Yisrael and we're in America and times have changed. But he was a very, very old-fashioned that way. So the idea of the Chodesh Osher Min HaTorah, the Chassam Sofer's Vart, anything novel and new is forbidden. Rabbi Shach was a very big believer in that. And Rabbi Aaron was as well. And because they were close, and they were related, because Rabbi Aaron's father-in-law was Reb Isser Zalman Meltzer, and Reb Isser Zalman Meltzer's nephew was Rebbe Shach. So there was a familial relationship. So from various angles there was a closeness. And because Rebbe Aaron opposed the previous Rebbe on a Mashiach issue, so Rebbe Shach convinced himself that the Rebbe kind of is pushing the Mashiach button and wants to be Mashiach, is alluding to that he is Mashiach and things like that, which are not true, of course. But that was his concern. Now, whether he's right or wrong, I don't know. But I say this because to bring you into the story. So the story is that in 1982, a Jew by the name of Rabbi Mordechai Yitzchak Zucker of Lakewood was working on his grandfather's sefer. His grandfather's name was Rabbi Rottenberg, Rabbi Mordechai Rottenberg, I believe. And he wrote a sefer Yad Mordechai, and they pre-war, and he never passed away in the war, and he wanted to redo the sefer, make it nicer with footnotes and all that. And he came across something there that he didn't understand. It was from the Arizal. It involved Kabbalah. So he decided he's going to ask his Rebbe. Who was his Rebbe? Who was his teacher? His Rosh Hashiva? Rabbi Shach. He was a Talmud of Panovich. So he asked him about if he can explain this perplexing remark. And Rabbi Shach said, I don't deal with these issues. This is not something that I'm familiar with. The one who can help you with this is the Lubavitcher Rebbe. You heard me right, fellas. You heard me right. 1982, the heart of the beast, the time when there was issues. And Rabbi Shach sends Rabbi Zucker for clarification to the Rebbe because he knows this is not his field and the Rebbe knows that field well. Subsequent to that, the Rebbe wrote a letter to Rabbi Zucker, which was, a little unusual in the 80s for the Rebbe to write letters still. He wrote more. He answered Setlach notes and made marks, and short comments. But he wrote a letter, and he explained not only that there was a mistake in the citation there, and the word needs to be changed, but he explained already the overall issue. And Rabbi Zucker was blown away. It's like, I asked you this one question, and all of a sudden, you open up this entire understanding of which I really didn't get before. And, of course, you're the one that knows this field, and thank you very much. Then they printed the Sefer in 1983 in Tafshin Mem Gimel, and on the page, which originally was printed from the grandfather with the mistake, they wrote in a footnote that there's a mistake here based on what we heard from a Gadol B'Yisrael, and they didn't say the Rebbe's name, which, I don't know why, but I'll allow you to come to your own conclusions, but it does say that in a footnote. So as we go into Shabbos, you have to know that Achdus Yisrael, Avos Yisrael is where it's at. And it's now so many years later, and we need to bring people together and to know that today they sing in Panovich the Alter Rebbe's Niggin. There's no Chiddush, but the Rebbe's Niggin, Otzama Lecha Nafshi, is now sung in Lakewood at various times. In Panovich at various times. So the Rebbe should help that we should have taka togetherness and unity. And tomorrow Shabbos is the Yom Haledes of the Rebbe Rashab. So it's a Zman Zgula, it's a special time to say L'chaim, and even Matzah Shabbos, when you'll see this video, Mitzvah Shem on Sunday, you can still make up for it. The first 3 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, still associated with the Shabbos, and to make achlotas tovos, good decisions. We should be zeicher to the Geula Shlema, because of Mamish. And one last point, as I'm making this video today, it's the yahrzeit of my mashpia, Rebbe Melech Tzribel, Olav Hashalom Zalhab Malicht in Gan Eden, and he was a tremendous yid, as I discussed in the last video, which if you haven't seen yet, watch it. because he was a one-of-a-kind Yid. So let haben nach Licht in Gan Eden, and he should come back together with all the Tzaddikim, Malkeinu B'Rashenu, with Mashiach, so sein zusammen in Jerusalem in HaKodesh. Amen v'Amen.